Imagine walking into a room and instantly commanding attention. Every eye turns to you, every ear attuned to your words. Imagine bending others to your will effortlessly, not through force or manipulation, but through a subtle mastery of human connection. Imagine achieving everything you've ever wanted: better relationships, career success, social dominance, all because you understand the hidden language of influence. True power isn't about brute force. It's about weaving an invisible web of influence that guides people towards your goals. This video isn't just about making a few more friends. It's about building a network that bends to your desires. We're going deep into the timeless principles of Dale Carnegie's masterpiece, How to Win Friends and Influence People, a book that has transformed countless lives. These are the secrets used by social masterminds, the tools that will elevate you from average to extraordinary. If you're ready to step off the sidelines, to become the charismatic center of attention, to effortlessly achieve the influence you deserve, then prepare to have your world transformed. The first step to winning friends and influencing people isn't about you, it's about them. The most magnetic personalities have mastered the art of genuine interest in others. Let's dive into the first core principle. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested in others. You can't fake this. People smell insincerity a mile away. Faking interest leads to awkward, unfulfilling interactions, a total waste of time. True connection comes from genuine curiosity about another person. Here's how to cultivate that. Uncover their passions. What lights someone up when they talk? Is it travel, music, their career? Dig below the surface to find their spark. Ask open-ended questions. Don't just ask, do you like your job? Instead, try this. What's the most rewarding part of what you do? This invites them to share more deeply. Active listening. Focus isn't just on what they say, but the how, their tone of voice, body language. These reveal their true feelings and give you clues to ask even better questions. Your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is daring. Next time you interact with a stranger, the barista, someone at the bus stop, ask 3 deep questions. Not about the weather, but something that shows you're genuinely interested in getting to know them. You may be surprised by the connections you make. Real-world example. I once spent 20 minutes talking to someone about my passion for vintage cars, only to discover they were actually into cartoons. It was a funny misunderstanding, but it highlights how easy it is to misread signals and waste everyone's time if you don't focus on true, genuine interest. The ripple effect. The thing about genuine interest is that it has a ripple effect. Taking the time to understand someone builds goodwill, trust, and makes them far more receptive to hearing your ideas, collaborating with you, or simply liking you more. And that, my friends, is the true long game of influence. Principle 2, smile. You might think this one's too simple, but never underestimate the power of a smile. It's a universal signal of friendliness and warmth, and it has an almost magical effect on how people perceive you. Disarming power. Think about it. When someone scowls, you instinctively tense up. But a genuine smile puts people at ease and opens them up to you. It's one of the fastest ways to build rapport. Science says so. It's not just a feeling. Studies show a smile can trigger the release of feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin in both you and the other person. Beyond the face, make sure your whole body reflects that smile. Relaxed posture, eye contact, these nonverbal cues reinforce your message of openness and positivity. Practical challenge. Here's your next challenge. Become hyper-aware of your smile. For the next few days, make a conscious effort to smile more often. At strangers, colleagues, grumpy family members. Notice the difference in how they react to you and how it affects your own mood. A simple smile can be a superpower. Contagious effect. Have you ever walked into a room where everyone is gloomy, then cracked a smile and seen the whole mood lighten? Smiles really are contagious, and you can be the one to spark that positive energy shift. Cultural note. It's important to acknowledge that some cultures may be less outwardly expressive with smiles. However, the internal shift towards warmth and friendliness still has a powerful impact, even if it's not displayed with a beaming grin. Principle 3, remember names. A person's name is their sweetest, most important sound. It's a core part of their identity, and nothing makes them feel more seen and acknowledged than when you use it. Why it matters so much: using someone's name conveys respect, attention, and investment in the relationship. Conversely, forgetting a name feels dismissive and sends the signal that they aren't important to you. Practical strategies. Repetition. Immediately after you're introduced, say their name back. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Then use it a couple of times during the conversation. Association. Connect the name to something visual. Jake with the bright blue eyes, or Emily who loves hiking. A mental image helps it stick. Write it down. If you're meeting many people at once, discreetly jot names down later to review. Story time. Imagine two scenarios. You meet someone briefly, they never use your name, you leave feeling forgettable. Now, picture the opposite. Someone not only remembers your name the next time you meet, but asks a follow-up question about something you discussed earlier. That feeling of being truly valued, that's the power of remembering a name. Points to consider. Own up to mistakes. We're all human. Sometimes names slip our minds. If you draw a blank, don't try to fake it. A sincere, "I'm so sorry, I've completely forgotten your name. Could you remind me?" is far better than awkward avoidance. This shows you care enough to get it right. The business edge. In the business world, remembering names isn't just polite, it's strategic. It helps you build strong relationships, make people feel valued, and stand out in a sea of forgettable faces. Imagine closing a deal because the client felt truly seen when you effortlessly remembered their name after a single prior meeting. Master the art of conversation. We all want to feel heard, yet so many conversations are just people waiting for their turn to talk. If you want to win friends, become a master listener. This unlocks a whole new level of connection. Principle 4, be a good listener. There's a huge difference between simply hearing someone and truly listening. Hearing is passive reception of sound. True listening involves focus, understanding, and making the other person feel valued. Here's how. Open-ended questions. Avoid questions answerable with a simple yes or no. Ask things like, "How did that make you feel?" or "What excites you most about this project?" This encourages people to open up. Undivided attention. Put away your phone, make eye contact, and use nonverbal cues like nodding to show you're engaged. Reflect back. Summarize what you've heard in your own words to ensure understanding and show you were paying attention. Bad listener versus good listener. Imagine telling your friend about a big accomplishment. Bad listener cuts you off, relates it back to themselves, or checks their phone. Good listener asks questions, expresses genuine excitement, celebrates your success. Which friend do you want to keep confiding in? Points to consider. Listening with your eyes. Your body language speaks volumes. Leaning in, head nods, and subtly mirroring the other person's energy. Not in a creepy mimicry way. Signals that you're fully present and invested in what they have to say. Benefits. Beyond friendship. Think attentive listening is just about making friends? Think again. In sales, it's about understanding a client's true needs to offer the best solution. In customer service, it's the key to calming frustrated people and building brand loyalty. In any leadership role, it fosters trust and makes your team feel truly heard. Principle 5, discuss their interests. Want to make someone instantly like you? Discover their passions and shine a spotlight on them. People light up when they can talk about what makes their hearts sing. Here's how to tap into that energy, pre-conversation. Rickon, do you know in advance who you'll be chatting with? A little online research can uncover interests. Even something simple like noticing a photo of their dog on their desk can give you an in. Questions as keys. Instead of generic, "How are you?" Tailor your questions. Any exciting hikes planned with Fido? If you know they love dogs. Oregon. Heard you're into photography. What kind of camera do you use? Shy speakers. Some people need a little coaxing. Look for clues. Books they're reading, a pin on their bag, something in their office. Gently ask, "That book looks fascinating. What's it about?" Real-life example. Imagine being stuck at a dull networking event. You notice someone wearing a vintage band t-shirt. Instead of boring small talk, you ask about the band. Suddenly, they're animated, sharing concert stories. You've bypassed awkwardness and made a real connection based on their passion. Points to consider: genuine versus pretend enthusiasm. Important note, faking interest is worse than not showing interest at all. People can smell insincerity a mile away. If you truly aren't into their hobby, don't force it. Instead, gracefully steer the conversation with something like, "That sounds really cool. I've always been curious about something you do find interesting." The universal love of stories. Even if you don't share a specific hobby, remember, everyone loves telling stories. A simple, "Wow, how did you get into that?" invites them share a bit of themselves and builds a bridge of connection. Principle 6, make them feel important. Everyone craves the feeling of being important, recognized, and valued. The good news? You don't have to win a Nobel Prize to make this happen. Small, sincere acts of appreciation can transform how people see you. The power of specificity. Instead of a generic, "You're awesome," pinpoint something specific: "They did well." "I was really impressed with how you handled that difficult customer." Or, "Thanks for always keeping the team organized." This shows you're paying attention and that their contribution matters. Sincere appreciation. Empty flattery is easily spotted. Make sure your words come from a place of genuine appreciation. Take a moment to reflect on why you truly value this person's presence, skills, or attitude. Pay it forward. Did someone do something nice for you? Don't just say thanks. Find a way to reciprocate that kindness, whether it's for them or someone else. This creates a ripple effect of positivity and strengthens bonds. Points to consider: the impact on you. Expressing sincere appreciation isn't just about the other person. It changes you. It trains your mind to focus on the positive aspects of those around you, making you a more optimistic and grateful person overall. Beyond the workplace, the people we love most often get taken for granted. Don't just assume they know you appreciate them. Show it. Tell your partner how much their support means. Thank your child for their help with chores. Acknowledge a friend's positive impact on your life. These small gestures strengthen the most important bonds you have. No one enjoys a full-blown argument. Even if you technically win, the damage to the relationship often isn't worth it. The path to true influence lies in reframing conflict and seeking understanding. Principle 7, avoid arguments. Arguments create a defensive mindset where nobody listens and positions become entrenched. Instead, approach a disagreement as a chance to collaborate and learn. Here's how. Admit fallibility. Phrases like, "I could be wrong, but," or "That's an interesting perspective I hadn't considered." Soften your stance and open the other person up to hearing you out. Find common ground. Focus on where you do agree before addressing the point of disagreement. This establishes goodwill. Problem-solving team. Frame the issue as a puzzle to solve together. Tricky situation here. Let's brainstorm solutions that might work for both of us. Practical tip. Help me understand your perspective on this. Tell me more about why this is important to you. Let's look at this another way. Points to consider. It's not about being weak. Choosing to avoid pointless arguments isn't about weakness. It's about strength. It takes maturity to prioritize the long-term health of the relationship over a short-term ego boost from winning a fight. Exceptions. Of course, there are times when standing your ground and advocating for what you believe in is absolutely essential. But there's a difference between strategic, principled disagreement and getting sucked into petty arguments that lead nowhere. Principle 8. See things from their perspective. Have you ever been baffled by someone's reaction to something that seemed perfectly reasonable to you? The key to unlocking true understanding lies in empathy, the ability to put yourself in another person's shoes. Why? Empathy is your superpower. When you see the world through another's eyes, you gain a huge advantage. You understand their motivations, fears, and desires. This allows you to tailor your communication and approach in a way that resonates with them. Beyond just being nice, empathy isn't about agreeing with everyone. It's about recognizing that their viewpoint is valid for them, even if you still see things differently. Challenge yourself. When facing a difficult person or frustrating situation, pause. Actively try to imagine what they might be feeling and why. Sometimes just this simple mental exercise can diffuse tension and open the door to finding solutions together. Empathy exercise. Let's try a quick exercise. Picture this. You're stuck in slow traffic, getting angrier by the minute. Now force yourself to see the situation through the eyes of others. Maybe the stressed out mom in the next lane is late-ish to pick up her child, or the delivery driver is exhausted after a long day. Suddenly, your annoyance can shift to understanding. Points to consider. The platinum rule. We often hear about the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. But there's an even more powerful approach, the platinum rule. Treat others as they want to be treated. Empathy is the key to understanding the difference. Influence with integrity. Empathy is not about manipulation. It's about understanding someone's perspective to communicate more effectively and build genuine connections, not playing games with their emotions. Principle 9, show sympathy. Even when you disagree with someone's actions or choices, understanding their underlying emotions is a game changer. Sympathy disarms resistance and builds the trust needed for true influence. Feelings versus actions. You can validate someone's emotions without condoning their behavior. A simple statement like, "It sounds like this has been really frustrating for you," acknowledges their experience without necessarily agreeing with a specific reaction. The power of listening. Sometimes, just giving someone the space to vent can be incredibly validating. Let them express anger, disappointment, or sadness without rushing to fix or judge. Simply being heard can de-escalate situations, unlocking why. Understanding someone's emotions, fear of failure, insecurity, feeling overwhelmed, gives you valuable insight into their motivations. This allows you to address the root cause of the issue, not just the surface-level behavior. Balancing sympathy with logic. Sympathy doesn't mean giving up on your own goals or beliefs. Once emotions are acknowledged, then you can introduce reason. "I see why you're upset and I want to help. Let's see if we can find a solution that works for both of us." Points to consider. The business edge. In any customer-facing role, understanding a client's frustration, even if you can't fully resolve the issue, goes a long way. Letting them know they're heard builds loyalty and trust in your brand. Internalizing it. Remember, this principle applies to your own inner world too. Before reacting harshly to a wave of anger or sadness, try to validate those feelings within yourself. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and that's okay. This self-empathy makes you less likely to project that negativity outwards and gives you better tools to empathize with others. If you want to inspire positive change in others, whether it's in your team, family, or community, leading with criticism is a recipe for resistance. Instead, become a master of starting with praise and appreciation. Principle 10, start with praise and appreciation. Think of delivering feedback like a sandwich. Start with genuine appreciation for the person's strengths or something they've done well. This doesn't mean sugarcoating mistakes, but it creates a receptive atmosphere for hearing the constructive part. The power of sincerity. Empty praise backfires. Find something positive to highlight their dedication, effort, or a specific skill. This shows you value them as a person, not just a task robot. Specificity matters. Instead of a generic "good job," pinpoint their contribution. I appreciate how organized you made this project. This makes them more likely to repeat that positive behavior. Points to consider: self-leadership. Before tackling a difficult project or mustering the courage for a tough conversation, try applying this principle to yourself. Start with genuine appreciation for your own strengths and past successes. This simple shift can make obstacles feel less daunting. The ripple effect. When leaders consistently focus on what their team is doing right, it shifts the entire culture. People feel encouraged, motivated to build upon their strengths, and inspired to lift each other up. This creates a powerful cycle of positivity and achievement. Principle 11. Call attention to mistakes indirectly. Nobody likes to be told they've messed up, especially in a way that makes them feel embarrassed or belittled. To avoid resentment and actually help someone improve, there's a better way to address errors. Focus on the solution. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, frame the conversation around how to fix it and prevent future mistakes. Looks like there may be a miscalculation here. Let's double-check these numbers together. Impersonalize it. If possible, talk about the mistake in more general terms. Sometimes typos slip through, it happens to everyone. Let's do a final proofread. This softens the blow and lets them know they're not alone in making occasional errors. Questions over accusations. Ask questions that lead them to discover the mistake for themselves. This part seems a bit off. Can you walk me through how you approached it? This preserves their dignity and encourages self-correction. Points to consider: tone is everything. In these situations, your tone of voice, body language, and how you phrase things matter immensely. Aim for gentle guidance, not harsh criticism. A concerned, this part doesn't look quite right, is far more effective than a snappy, you got this totally wrong. The power of we, phrases like, let's figure this out together, or could we explore a different approach? Change the dynamic. It shifts from blame to collaboration, making the person more receptive to learning from the mistake. Principle 12, admit your own mistakes first. Leaders who try to project an image of infallibility create a culture of fear and defensiveness. True influence comes from the courage to admit your own mistakes. This has a surprisingly powerful ripple effect. Permission to be human. When you model owning your errors, you give others the unspoken permission to do the same. This leads to an open culture of learning and improvement, as opposed to hiding mistakes out of fear. Building trust. Nobody trusts someone who pretends to be perfect. Vulnerability fosters genuine connection and makes people far more receptive to feedback when they know you hold yourself to the same standards. Disarming critics. By acknowledging your own shortcomings when relevant, you take the wind out of the sails of anyone who might fixate on attacking you. Transparency is surprisingly disarming. Points to consider: self-deprecation versus true accountability. There's a difference between honestly admitting a mistake and downplaying yourself in an attempt to fish for compliments. Keep the focus on what you learned and how you'll do better next time. It gets easier. The more you practice admitting mistakes with grace and focusing on growth, the less intimidating it becomes. Ironically, owning your imperfections is one of the best ways to earn the respect you truly deserve. Conclusion. The strategies we've explored today aren't just about tricks or manipulation. They represent a fundamental shift in how you see the world and interact with others. When you prioritize genuine connection, understanding, and respect, you unlock a level of influence that extends far beyond what you imagined possible. Key takeaways. Remember, it starts with becoming genuinely interested in others, smiling, remembering names. Listen deeply, Discuss what people are passionate about and make them feel truly important. Master the art of disagreement. Seek to understand and find common ground. And when leading others, begin with praise and admit your own errors to pave the way for growth. It's a journey, not a magic trick. True influence isn't something you switch on overnight. Think of it as a muscle you strengthen through consistent practice. Start small. Choose one principle to consciously apply each day. You'll be amazed at how quickly your relationships, your career, and your entire life transform as you become a master of winning friends and influencing people. Your challenge: don't just let this information wash over you. Choose one principle we discussed, the one that resonated the most, and commit to consciously applying it for the next week. Notice the shifts in your interactions and how people respond to you. You might be amazed at the difference. Spread the word. If you found this video valuable, please help spread these powerful ideas by liking, sharing it with others, and subscribing for more content on personal development and building truly impactful relationships. Together, let's create a world where understanding and genuine connection rule.